just go about your business? I have. Do you hear this gavel? Do you hear this gavel? You're out of order.
Violates the rule.
It's the YouTube, the one that it's the same thing that they do the commissioners' meetings on Thursday. Okay.
Right there.
Well,
2-1, you doing talk to me there.
2158, but I gotta call in to get.
How'd you do 301?
This is for the prison board.
They weren't real. That's what, okay, that's right, you did say they were a lot of 15, 16. Yeah. The legals are, 15, 17.
Mr. Way. Mr. Way. You're out of order back there.
The live
Back
feed
to
is
sleep.
on. The live feed is on. What time does it start?
You know, they bring on occasional.
Okay, so we should be on pretty soon.
Yeah.
If we're not on already. Thank you.
Are you on?
Yeah.
I think next year should go.
It's okay.
Morning.
Morning.
Half a week is.
I always wanted to do this.
Well, you can now, maybe top. No, I mean, I usually social distance, I'll sit here somewhere. Are you gonna run the meeting?
Yeah.
Okay. How are you?
Yep, we're good, thank you. Bye-bye.
Oh, I know, that's a good point.
Hello, this is Brad.
Okay.
We are live.
Okay, all right.
Should have seen me.
Who's on the line?
Heard.
This is Coach Gordon Shoemaker.
I think
Oh, nice.
Commissioner Metcalf's gonna sit next to you. I'm gonna sit down here. Doing games and social distancing.
Good, okay.
Maybe I can
Excellent.
turn the light on somehow.
Hi, who just joined? Ryan. Okay, we got the district attorney.
Got it.
Judge Butch, did I hear you?
My glasses.
Yes, you did.
Okay, we have Judge Butch.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Commissioner Rubio. DA. Nikki.
So we are.
See, that's why I was social distance when I cough.
Ready to go.
You don't want to be
Are we going
coughing all
to
over you,
hear
and I think
from?
I forgot my allergy pills.
Commissioner Morbido, is Commissioner Metzger going to be here now?
Yes, he is. He just went up to get his paperwork and he's
Okay.
coming
Okay,
down.
so if we want to wait momentarily.
Sure.
This is nice because we can socially distance.
Yes.
She was on a lot of our calls. Did she? Yeah, but she was on, her and my daughter were on a lot of things together.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll do that, so we're find it. Judge and DA, we're just waiting for Commissioner Metzger. He's on his way downstairs.
No problem, thank you.
Yep, thanks.
Morning, Commissioner. Good. Okay, good morning, everybody. In absence of Chairman Commissioner Macera, I'll be chairing the meeting today for the Friday, July 10, 2020 Lycoming County Prison Board meeting. What I would like to do is a roll call vote since we have board members who are joining us electronically. So let's do that first. Judge Butts?
I'm here.
Commissioner Macera is excused. Commissioner Murbito?
Here.
Commissioner Metzger? Here. Deputy Controller Collins?
Got y'all?
That's all? I'll get it eventually.
Ooh, that's so many names ago.
I know. DA Gardner?
Here.
And Sheriff Lusk is here. Did I miss anybody? Okay, we have a quorum. I welcome staff and any guests. I don't know if, I don't think I see media here.
I have our other deputy with us today too, Heather Lehman.
Very good, welcome. Welcome. We'll ask for first approval of the minutes from the meeting in July, or in June rather. So I would presume everybody's received their minutes. I'd ask for a motion to approve the minutes of the June 2020 meeting.
I make motion.
To approve.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. Any question on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I would ask if there's any public present, public comment on agenda items only. I let the record reflect I don't see any public here today. We'll move to have approval of the bills. Everyone should have gotten their packet for the bills. Before we ask for any questions on the motion, I'd ask for a motion to approve the bills.
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion from Deputy Controller Kirchhoff. Do I have a second? We motion a second. Are there any questions on the bills? No questions? I would ask for a vote on the approval of the bills. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Nays? Motion carries. Approval of personnel actions, Warden Shoemaker.
Thank you, Sheriff. We would seek the approval of 3 personnel actions all at the prison. The first is Nathan Coltar as a correctional officer relief. Second is Anthony Brooks, also correctional officer relief. And the third is Joshua Hewlett, who is also a correctional officer relief.
Are there any questions for the warden regarding the personnel actions? Okay, I ask for a motion to approve these 3 personnel matters.
I'll move to approve.
And can I have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Are you completed with that? I wanted to ask him something.
No, I just wanted to do,
Okay.
Any nays? Motion carries. Okay, Commissioner.
Have you had any trouble recruiting in this time?
Yes.
Have you?
And I would actually probably defer to Deputy Warden Barnes because he reviews all the applications, but we have had some difficulty in receiving applications.
Right, we received very few, probably for May and, I'd say half of April and May, we didn't receive any applications.
All right, well, so I think probably the press is here, and if they could put that out, that we have job openings for people who have qualified for correctional officer.
There's no press here, I don't believe.
Unless he's
They sometimes
Or what?
might be
listen.
attending remotely.
Okay.
We have discussed with HR maybe some different ways of advertising that.
Okay,
We are advertising on Indeed,
okay, good,
social media sites to try to get the word out a little more.
okay.
Do we think it's COVID related?
That's what I was wondering.
I don't know that for sure. I think a lot of what's going on everywhere is COVID related right now. I would say that that's probably partially part of the reason. In fact, we did have an applicant that was offered a position and chose to decline. Is that correct, or did he?
Basically, yes, yeah, he declined. had some family issues
Yeah,
that led to him declining due to COVID.
okay. No, that's good, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Informational highlights, Ward.
Moving on to the population report for the month of June, the prison averaged 148.43 males, and at the pre-release center, we averaged 29.57 males for an average daily population of 178. We had a peak population of 190 in the month for males. Females, we averaged 26.53 at the prison and 3.57 at the pre-release center for an average daily population of 30.1 and a peak of 35. Our average daily population throughout the prison system then was 208.10 with a peak of 213. We maintained 37.47 clients on in-home detention and 10.4 male clients and 10.4 female clients on in-home detention. We had no overcrowding transfers out for the month of June. So our average daily population then again is 208.10. You can see that's slightly less than what we saw in May. And the numbers in certain areas were down a little bit. We were down a couple males in the prison system and at the pre-release center. We were up females at the prison, stayed about the same at the pre-release center. So that 3 inmate per day average, I would anticipate that as we start to see court activities continue to increase, that we will see those numbers gradually. I don't think it's going to be a drastic increase all at one time. I think we'll see a gradual increase throughout the rest of the year. In comparison to last year, in June of 2019, we averaged 359.7 inmates in the prison system. So still significantly less than what we saw last year. But certainly that would be related to COVID, as we've talked about before, about the releases and just the shutdown or the slowdown of the court system, not the shutdown.
I guess
Yeah, go ahead, no.
Judge Butts, I guess I'd ask your thoughts on how you think it's going to go come fall when we get back into a more regular court schedule.
I think we're pretty much at a regular court schedule now. The only question for us is how jury trials are going to roll out. I know people have gotten their jury notices, and I've had a couple conversations with people about whether or not they want to come in. As much as they have always participated with jury duty, is this a time where they really want to expose themselves to other people? Because as we are discovering, as we bring people in, they don't pay attention to our requests. They bring extra people with them, they sit close together, and they don't feel well. They still come to court. We had, on Monday, we had 2 participants in mental health court. One made a point to walk over to her probation officer to say, I just want to let you know I have a fever and a cough. And then another person sat quietly in court, but sat through the whole court, went to counseling, where they take temperatures, and they sent him home because he had a fever of over 100. So that seems to be the X factor that people are nervous about, is as we invite more people in for that type of a scale event, how many people are going to come because they want to be there versus they probably shouldn't come because they don't feel well. So I don't know that directly answered your question, but pardon?
No, it did. It's an interesting perspective of the people who aren't feeling well coming into the building. And I'll tell you, I've had, good, bad, and different. I've had members of the public say to me, of course, when they get the documents, they see my name, and I explain that this is a Office of Court Administrator operation, but there certainly is that hesitancy on the public's part and concern about being jurors. There's no, whether it's founded or not, there certainly is concern out there about being jurors. So I wonder how it's going to affect our juror pool. Are we still on schedule, Judge, for August juror picks?
Yeah. Right now, tentative what we're going to do. Now, we have pretrials July 14th, and I've already had at least one conversation with the district attorney about maybe we can try and convince people to dispose of cases by a non-jury trial and see if that might work, because we really don't know how many people are going to be able to come in. And then even if we do have a number of people that are willing to come in, we've talked about the fact that we can't question them in the same space and the same numbers. We're probably going to have to use smaller numbers, and we're probably only going to be able to pick one jury in the morning and one jury in the afternoon, when we're used to picking 2 and 3 simultaneously, because we just don't have the space to put up that number of people on the second floor, even using courtrooms and the jurors' lounge. So I'm not willing to look outside the building. I just think that when across the street wasn't an option for us, I don't want to go to a school or any place like that, because they have their own issues starting back up with school. And I don't want to get into the issue of rent or sanitizing, or there's just a lot. The security, especially if a defendant's in custody, how are we going to manage that so that the jury doesn't know that they're in custody? There's just so many variables that we have to manage through the jury selection process that it's just easier to do it here in the courthouse. But like I said, it's just the way it is. We don't have a lot of space to be able to socially distance that large number of people. So we're just going to keep trying to see if we can figure it out.
How many, Judge, from your experience, how many prospective jurors does it typically take to arrive at a jury?
Well, we normally bring in 45. If I'm going to pick a misdemeanor, so say a second or a third DUI, an M1, or a theft or a burglary type case, they're not really controversial. So I can probably select a jury with about 45 people, maybe 50. Now talk to me about attempted murder or any type of a sex case, especially one involving a child. Now we're looking at 65 to 70 people, and sometimes and this has literally happened to me, I have gone through all of my extra bodies, because jurors, I only have to have 12 plus 2 alternates, so I really only need 14 people. But I brought 65 people into my courtroom, and I run out of people to select from. So now I've got to bring in another 10 or 15 more, so it's possible that I could go through 100 people to get 14. So that's one of the reasons why a selection could take longer than an hour, which is usually what it takes me to do, just because we'll have to meet with people in shifts, and then we'll also have to deal with the issue of, the challenges for cause, meaning the person knows somebody involved in the case, or they've been a victim themselves, or a family member of that type of crime, which could even be drugs, too. When we get a defendant that's charged with a drug delivery, and we get people on the jury whose family members have been, say, the victim of an overdose, and who've ultimately even died, or who have just been addicted, or been diagnosed with substance use disorder, that often excludes them from the possibility of being fair and impartial. So that's a reason why we'd have to bring in more people, too. And that doesn't even talk about civil. That's just criminal.
Okay, any question? Any question for the judge? Judge, thank you.
Oh, sure.
Okay,
Move on to the prison disciplinary report. In the month of June, the Prison Disciplinary Committee, chaired by Deputy Warden Barnes, conducted 52 disciplinary hearings. 43 of those hearings ended up in a decision of guilty for time in disciplinary lockup. 5 were found guilty and their lockup time was suspended. 4 were found not guilty. The 52 hearings were held on a total of 38 different inmates, 10 of which had greater than 1 incident. And there were 43 informational reports generated by staff in the month. And Deputy Warden Barnes, do you have anything that you wish to add?
No, I don't.
Moving on to the pre-release center report. The monthly average in June on work crew was 30 males and 4 females. Again, with work release being suspended due to COVID-19 concerns, we had no inmates on work release. So we totaled 34 for the month. The year-to-date averages then are 47 males and 11 females. Program highlights are on June 16th, John Loisel, Dan Nur, and Vito Malik all attended an incident investigation training provided by AmTrust North America. On June 17th, John Loisel and Tammy Toner attended first aid and CPR training provided by Craig Conkle, and all staff attended TASER training and recertification led by Training Sergeant Joe DeFrancisco on June 23rd. The bail release report for the month of June shows that we averaged 143.13 clients on the bail release program. That is broken down into 63.73 on supervised bail, 77.67 on intensive supervised bail, and 1.73 on driving under suspension supervised release. Those clients equated to a bed day saved at the county prison of 4,294 for the month. The last report is the mental health snapshot, and the snapshot was taken on July 7th. On that day, there were 290 inmates counted in the prison system. Of those, 243 were male and 47 were female. Breaking down into the different rosters for mental health, there were 127 males and 12 females on roster A with no mental health history. There were 37 males and 6 females on roster B with a past mental health history but no symptoms within the last year. There were 67 males and 24 females on roster C that had current mental health issues. And there were 12 males and 5 females on roster D considered to be seriously mentally ill at the time of that the snapshot was looked at. The psychotropic meds at the pre-release center. During the month, there were 24 inmates counted, or during the day actually, on July 7th, there were 24 inmates counted on the male side, and there were 5 of them that were taking psychotropic medications for an average of 20.83% of people on meds. On the female side of the pre-release center, there were 9 female inmates at the time, and 5 of them, or 55.55%, were taking psychotropic meds. When you compare that to the prison system, on July 7th, there were 158 males, 31 of which were on psych meds for 19.62%, and there were 29 females, and 14 were on meds for an average of 48.28%. The total inmates on meds at the pre-release center was 30.30. Total inmates at the prison was 24.06, and we averaged 25% of our inmate population at both facilities taking psychotropic meds.
Any questions on any of the reports the board just gave?
Additional informational highlights: on June 16th, Lieutenant Entz, Lieutenant Kennelly, and Lieutenant Rogers also attended the accident investigation or incident investigation training conducted by AmTrust. I did want to mention just briefly that for those on the board that may not know, that training was initiated by our safety committee and was
By the
organized
county safety.
by the county safety committee, was organized by Craig Conkle, and he did a great job of, and he continues to do a great job of trying to get staff trained or providing monthly staff training for the entire county system on safety issues, safety highlights. And so the training that was on June 16th was scheduled and arranged by our county safety committee. And then on June 17th, as I mentioned in the pre-release center report, there was a first aid and CPR training. That was the same. That was also scheduled and coordinated by our safety committee, chaired by Mr. Conkle. John Loisel and Tammy Toner attended that training at the pre-release center. The prison itself, and we do first aid and CPR for all of our staff every year, so the prison system wouldn't typically attend that. But I just wanted to make note of that, separate from what we're talking about here at the prison board, but give some credit to our safety committee and the good job that they're doing.
Very good.
Next informational highlight is on June 18th of 2020, Text Behind Incorporated became the prison's inmate mail management provider. We entered into a contract with them, and they are now providing our mail service in the prison system, and seems to be working very well over the short course so far. And those are all the informational highlights that I have.
Any questions or comments on the informational highlights? There being none, we will go to old business, reentry. Supervisor Stoll. Good morning.
Morning. As of July 1st, when we prepared our report for CJAB, we had 73 participants at reentry. 44 of those were male clients and 29 females. To date, we've had 382 folks successfully complete programming at reentry. With respect to the 889 overall individual intakes that we've done at reentry services dating back to when we opened doors there in 2014. With respect to COVID and I think everybody's primary objective here within, at least with the criminal justice system, has been to keep our prison healthy. The courts have done a nice job over the last several months here, utilizing our electronic monitoring program to the best of our ability to do that. To date, we've serviced 1,000 offenders on that program, currently with 58 offenders serving some form of sentence on either an alcohol monitor or GPS or even the home guard system. And dating back to December of 2015, when we first partnered with our vendor to utilize that program, we've diverted 68,981 days of jail days. With respect to the 73 folks that are in services at reentry, 17 of those have been identified as having a history of opiate use. And in the month of June, we had 11 new intakes. And you can see there, we can go all the way back to 2014 and look at the previous intakes we've had in the month of June. And that's all I have.
It's amazing, the 68,981, would you say 68,981 saved?
Diverted, yes, from incarceration. And to be able to, we've had that number in the mid-60s. For our office, it'd be cumbersome, it'd be difficult for our office to be able to manage that without some help. And I'd point out that's an offender pay program. That program is no cost to the county.
Very good. Thank you. Impressive information. Any questions or comments regarding John's report? Very good. Our next, any other old business first? Or anything from you?
Nothing.
Okay, our next prison board meeting will be August 14th. I presume it's a Friday.
It is.
And it will be in the basement, sub-level 1.
That's yeah.
The juvenile conference room at the
Tentative.
courthouse. That's
Tentatively where
tentative.
that's- And obviously, we usually make a decision the week before the prison board meeting. I speak with Commissioner Sayre to see if he wishes to have it in here to continue to be able to social distance. And
Okay.
I would. I don't want to assume that it'll be here next month, but
Okay, we'll verify
notice
that.
will be given
Notice-
if
notice-
it's changed.
Okay, thank you. That'll be on August 14th at 8:30. New business. First, I'd ask if there's any public comment. Okay, I'm told there are. I'm getting from Information Services Director Jerry Kennedy, there's no public comment that he's received on the IS side. So with that, I'd ask if there's any new business from board. Gordon? Hearing none, I would ask if there's anything for go to the order. Hearing none, I'd ask for an adjournment. For motion?
I'll make a motion.
A second? A motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody. We'll see everybody back at board meeting on August 14th. Have a good day.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
too.
Thank you, Sarah.
It's a good place for the meeting.
Oh,
It's a lot lighter and everything, that base plate, than it's kind of,
Thank you.
thank you guys.
We can continue to do this, do the video,
Yeah.
which helps, I think, for people who wish to attend, but
Right.
maybe
Sorry about this.
don't want to be exposed.
Yeah. No, I think it'd be good.
Nice layover here.
Take care.
Thank you, Commissioner.
So,
and I said, thanks a lot. So I laid there, I got out, and then I went for the office last job. And then, yeah, and my wife moved. I'll tell you what. Yeah, I can't. Yep, and if I get just the right amount of sleep, I'm done. I'm off.
Sometimes it's like clockwork for me, like, the last like 4 nights. I wake up and I'm like, I gotta get up.
Yeah.
I can't lay here anymore. I hit my phone, it's like 3:05.
Yep.
Well, it's that time again.
I prefer it to hit me at that.
Yeah, then you get another 2 hours or 3 hours
Right,
sleep.
but when it hits you at 10 after 5,
Yeah.
first time I stirred,
Why
I'm
will
like,
stay up?
I went back, laid down,